Hey guys, Taylor here from Flow State. I'm recording this video really quick because Jack and Eric go on in like 30 minutes for a debate. And I just want to throw in a few questions that I'd have or think I'd like to see them focus on. I'd like to see the debate brought to earth in some way, attached to the real world. I don't know that there's a lot of use in getting completely locked into whether this is a better way to break things up or that's a better way to break things up. If it's just sort of isolated and not brought back to reality. Otherwise, you get into sort of debates about semantics that don't have any application. So I know that NE isn't particularly concerned with real-world attachment. TI, is very analytical. Let's take this analysis and bring it down to the real world, attach it in some way. Eric, why are your additional what's the word I'm looking for? Additional variables useful, like external, internal, or the other distinctions you make that aren't in socionics that you criticize them for not having. What's the rift, or what do you see negating or missing? What's missing that needs to be added? Why are these not just arbitrary distinctions? What makes them valuable? How do those additional distinctions impact the actual types and their presentation or behavior? Some examples would be great of where you can see this stuff, or anything to make it not simply arbitrary. Eric's prime directive of map to territory and increasing their closeness. How that appears to me to be two things. It appears, one, not actually necessary for a model to describe the behavior. That's the why, not the what and the how. You can answer the what and the how without answering the why. So I don't think that prime directives are necessary, even though Socionics does offer a prime directive. I still don't think that his claim that it's essential to models is really true. And I think that his model's prime directive is a TI ego's prime directive. I think that for he and I and Jack, that probably is true. I don't think that's the prime directive for all types, though. Finally, don't get stuck on defining terms. We don't need to sit and play these semantic games and define, and then Jack, take it easy on the little discursive trick. So you're saying this. It's just a tactic to try to narrow in somebody and pin them down to a more narrow definition than they probably originally intended. So that's not an indicator of whether or not the model's better. That's a discursive tactic that I see both of them use, but Jack particularly likes to use that one, and I think it atrophies the conversations. I think that's all I have. Later.